Welcome to the Locked On Wizards podcast. What's good, Washington Wizards fans? It's your host, the real Ed Oliver, and my guy, Brandon Scott. Today, we're going to be doing part 2 of Tommy Shepard and Wes Unseld Jr.'s press conference, and also a subscriber submitted 3 keys. We'll probably react to that too, and possibly where Kristaps and Bradley Beal are ranked in the top 100. If not, we'll get to that next episode. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Wizards podcast. We want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. All right, so we're going to react to some more quotes that we found interesting from Tommy Shepard and Wes Unseld Jr.'s media availability that was on Tuesday. Training camp starts. Media day is on Friday. Training camp starts Saturday. We can't wait. There's also an open practice on October 11th at 6 p.m. at Capital One Arena. Brandon, you thinking about going?
Yes, sir. Weekday is a little hard, man, but I'm definitely going to try to rearrange some stuff to go out there and see it.
Definitely, yeah, for sure. So another quote that stood out to me was about Rui. Wes Press Jr. has some things to say about Rui. Of course, we know the team's going to Japan for the preseason game against the Warriors. They have 2 preseason games out in Japan. Wes Press Jr. said, quote, on Rui, huge expectations. Honestly, he's playing with an air of confidence that is remarkable. He also says Rui Hachimura has worked on playing more spatially with his improved 3-point shot. What was your thought about that quote?
It's good to hear. Rui last season, he showed what his game can look like with confidence. His 3-point shot took a massive step. So it's good to hear, because, he's coming into a contract year. So it behooves him to kind of, have the right mind frame to come in this season because, if he has a good year, he could get a massive payday. So we'll see. But, it's good to see from Rui. It's good, the hard work, because last season, he had a lot of stuff going on, So just the fact that he came back, and they were real cool with the process with the team went through with dealing with Rui. I think I was impressed with. Again, we were waiting forever, but he had a lot going on. They gave him the time to get back in shape, to get his mind right. He came back and he played well. So this is what I want to see. Hard work. Denny. Yeah. I like what I see from Denny. The hard work, the 3-point shot improvement. I'm very optimistic about what he can provide this team this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rui and Denny. Rui, he improved from the 3-point shot. 44% from the 3-point line. Thought that was great. Did miss half the season for personal reasons, so I'm intrigued to see how he does with a full off season again. No injuries. He's had a couple injuries. Had the groin injury his rookie season, then missed 40 games. The only thing is defensively he was underwhelming last year. Rebounding he was underwhelming. Scoring I thought he was fine. 11 points per game. He had career lows in that. His playing time, he was on a minute restriction. He was brought back very, very slowly. But he still showed the athleticism there, dunking on Isaiah Stewart once again, knocking down threes, the mid-range game, 98% percentile, and finishing at the rim, which I love that. I like Rui. Honestly, out of the young guys, I think Rui's the most polished, and he's the most advanced offensively. He's the most offensively polished guy. And defensively, he leaves a lot to be desired, for sure. And then they had the mini camp in LA, and we've heard that Rui looked really, really good. A lot of people had some good things to say about him in that players driven mini camp out in LA. So I think he could possibly get a breakout year. It's just where is he going to get his minutes? Can he fight for that 3 spot? Against Will Barton and Denny. Kuz is starting at the 4. I think unfortunately with Rui missing that amount of time, it gave Kuzma an opportunity to really run away with the 4 spot. And I think Kuzma did a heck of a job at that. Kuzma's starting. Like, there's no debate that Kuzma started. There's no debate that Porzingis is starting. And Rui, his first 2 seasons, he was a penciled-in starter getting big minutes, and his minutes dropped off. So, unfortunately, missing that time, it had some effects on his playing time for sure. But, yeah, they're expecting a big year for him. he is a poster guy of the team. He's a guy that they market a lot. Especially for this Japan trip, he's a guy that they market a lot. So, and like you said, it's a contract year. So a lot of Wizards don't get second contracts. Troy Brown Jr. traded before his second contract. Kelly Oubre traded before his second contract. A lot of our first round picks don't make it to their second contract, really, except for Brad and John. Otto Porter got paid again. So we'll see. I mean, it's a big year for Rui.
Yeah, and I agree. And, looking back, this is absolutely correct. It's very rare that we extend our guys. And because we've always been kind of, I hate to say this, but bogged down by a contract. For the longest, Gilbert Arenas, when he got his extension, we had Caron Butler, we had Antoine Jameson, but, we never really had that dominant big, and so we've always been bogged down. The John Wall, I love John Wall, man, but, his contract, they did the best they could. So, we've always, you bring up a good point. We don't extend our guys. So, going into this season, looking at Rui, do I personally think that he's going to be extended? I don't see it. I see that, we're really going to have to be creative with how we spend money on this team. I don't see, there was, looking at a few reports, they were looking at, he was looking for anywhere from $15 to $20 million a year. I have a hard time seeing that happen, especially if they want to extend Kyle Kuzma. If Kuzma is going to be the long-term guy at the 4, I don't see Rui being part of his team. But getting back to, the topic, Rui, what I want to see as far as the dog, offensively, he's nice. Nice 3-level scorer. Nice. But defensively, at times, he's looked lost, very lost. And, rebounding, non-existent. And for his position and for his size, it's like, come on, man, what are you doing? That's part of your job description at the 4. You need to be a rebounder. Kuz was rebounding his mind out last season. Kuz is, he rebounding numbers went up. His 3-point percentage went up. I mean, his assists went up. I mean, so he's defensively, he has a ways to go, in my opinion. But this is where veterans are very important to a team. I think Taj is going to be a guy that should be working with him. I'm going to get into football a little bit. Warren Sapp coming to training camp for the Commanders. Having a guy teaching your defensive line like Warren Sapp, that's the guy you want to, that's the guy you want teaching your guys. Taj Gibson has a long history in this league of being dominant in the paint. So if there's anybody that I want to give pointers to Rui playing at the 4 position, it's Taj. So I think that this shows how important Taj Gibson is. His addition is to this team.
And the addition of James Posey. They have a first time. This is their first time having a coach that played in the NBA, an assistant coach, or any coach on the staff, because they didn't have any coaches on the staff last year that played in the NBA. Wes didn't play in the NBA. A couple of assistant coaches didn't play in the league. So I think that's good to get some insight from somebody who played in the league too. No knock against guys who didn't play. Eric Spoelstra didn't play in the NBA. He's had a really good coaching career. He's won championships. I mean, of course he had LeBron, but he's really achieved and worked his way up as a coach without playing in the league. But I think, like you said, Taj can help him out. James Posey. And some of it's about 1-2. You got to look at the effort, too. I think he's capable because he's so athletic. You look at it, it's like night and day with offense and defense. On offense, he's running around. He's so energetic, trying to get the ball. But on defense, it's kind of like he'll go for pump fakes. He'll go for easy fakes, crossovers in and out. So he'll just get beat so quickly. So I'm high on Rui, man. I think he can have a big year. But the thing is about the extensions, like the players got to earn that extension, too. Troy Brown Jr. didn't really earn it. Didn't work out with him. Kelly Oubre, he was okay, but, he had some, basketball IQ and decision-making deficiencies, in my opinion. So watching him, I thought he was a good athletic player, but, he's very streaky. So, is he a guy that you really, really wanted to extend there too? I didn't agree with the trade for Ariza, but, did they want to pay Kelly? So, and that was questionable on Ernie's part, but we won't get too much into that either. But a lot of the guys got to earn it too. So it works both ways. So can Rui earn? Can he make it? Can he put the fire on the team to be like, hey, we want to pay this guy. We want to extend this guy. We really, really want to bring this guy back and match whatever offer sheet is out there. Because I know there's going to be some teams that are definitely going to be interested in bringing Rui in as a free agent. He's going to be a restricted free agent. So it's going to be interesting to see how things work out this year for him. I think it's a boomer bust. It's almost like a boomer bust year for him.
Oh, absolutely. The ball's in his hands. Figuratively speaking. he's got to show up. You know, you got to earn that contract, you know. But I mean, one factor too, if you know, we're looking at the history of, you know, not teams, but players not being extended that we draft. You know, it comes down to drafting. You know, be able to, you know, draft guys that are worth extending. You know, no disrespect to Troy Brown, you know, but like you said, he didn't earn that extension. You know, finding these jewels in the rough, man. You know, you got to find these guys that are worthy to extend to an extension. You know, Rui, I think he can. I think that, you know, he's not talked about as much as, you know, obviously when you're on the same team as Bradley Beal, KP, and other assets in this team, you're not going to be talked about as much. But you know, I think he's going to take a huge step forward this year. I think defensively, you know, like we were just talking about, you know, James Posey, man, look, he could defend. James Posey was a defender, man. You know, he could get in people's face. People forget how valuable he was to the Boston Celtics. You know, he was a catalyst for that championship team. You know, so, you know, Taj Gibson, the list goes on. He's going to have people that are going to work with him. You know, this team has focus. This is what's different than past teams. And this is what I got from the press conference. This team has focus. You know, this team, you know, especially with the responses from Tommy and Wes about, you know, where they stand in the Eastern Conference. Look, they know. Eastern Conference is stacked. You know, so if you come in, you know, talking about, you know, you go do this and this, you got to place that. And so they know that, you know, chemistry is the one factor that is going to make or break this team. You know, so Rui is going to do well. I'm a big Rui fan. You know, I think he's going to take a step forward, but it's going to take him putting the effort, especially on the defensive end, and developing that dog mentality, especially on the defensive end. You know, being a dog on defense is it's more important than being a dog on offense, you know, to a certain degree. So yeah, I'm also very high on Rui.
Yeah, it's definitely I want to, and it definitely transitioned me to remind me of a question I wanted to ask you too. But before I do get into that, this episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your pro and college football betting needs and sports info this season. Find all the latest football league developments, game matchups, news, and podcasts, including this year's opening week's games. BetOnline is also your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline where the game starts. So if nobody does start your past 3 draft picks, say Corey Kispert doesn't start, and starting is not everything, but if Corey Kispert's not your starter at the 3, because obviously Monte's going to start at the 1, Brad's going to start at the 2, Kuz at the 4, and Porzingis at the 5. None of your guys are starting. Johnny Davis is not starting either. All these guys, well, Bradley Beal, you know, they drafted him 10 years ago now. But 4 out of your 5 starters are not going to be your draft picks, especially in the last 3 years. Is that an indictment, or do you look at that as a negative on Tommy Shepard and how he's drafted? Do you think that do you think there's a negative outlook to look at it that none of your guys are starting, that all your guys are somewhat rotational guys or bench guys? Rui right now, it looks like he's going to be coming off the bench from what I see, and Denny looks like he's going to be coming off the bench. Or is that on the development of players? Which way do you look at it?
I mean, you got to kind of look at that. You know, why aren't these guys are drafting, starting, and actually becoming big parts? I'm not going to say they're not central pieces to this team, because they are, but they're core, you know, they're bench guys. You know, you can't, you know, which one of these young guys can you see starting on a consistent basis as far as a full-time starter? That's hard to answer. I mean, the closest would be Denny, you know, but, you know, Pittsburgh's got ways to go. You know, the shot looked good, but he's got ways to go, especially defensively. Rui defensively. Johnny Davis, you know, he's got, you know, some things he need to work on, but, you know, that it comes down to drafting and developing. You know, drafting is an issue for Tommy Shepard. You know, as far as trades, he's a wizard, man. I mean,
no pun intended.
I mean, he pulled up the longest trade ever just to get Dinwiddie. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, 5 teams. So I mean, he can trade. You know, getting Wall, Westbrook's contracts off. I mean, those are, you know, those 2 contracts for a while were untradeable. You know, he was able to move those and get good assets back. And then, you know, and even the assets he got back, even when they didn't work, you know, Montrez, you know, he flipped them. So, you know, he's done a good job as far as trading, but his drafting needs work, because, you know, I like these guys, but can you look at each one of these drafts and say, well, you know, we had a chance to get this guy or this guy? Yeah, absolutely. You know, so Yeah, it's a testament to his drafting game, man. Because why aren't you guys? You're looking at Rui. This is year 4. And you still, you got a bench roll. You got to develop these guys to be future starters. So yeah, I definitely think it's a testament to where he needs to improve when it comes to drafting and developing guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a testament to both drafting. Yeah, you can always look at every draft and say, oh, they should have got this guy. They Giannis was picked 15th, and a lot of teams passed on him. You look at Tyrese Halliburton, and you look at some other Tyrese Maxey, some guys that they passed on, Sadiq Bey, Johnny Davis. Now you can look at some other guys that play well in the summer. You don't want to just base off summer league, but Jalen Williams from the Thunder played really well. Tari Eason from the Rockets played well. So those are just some names to look at that play better than Johnny Davis in the summer league. Johnny Davis, he had an underwhelming summer league, but there's still ways to go. Corey Kispert, Bones Highland. So those are just some names to few that probably would have hit the ground running with the Wizards. And I thought Corey Kispert had a good rookie year too. So I'm not going to knock any of these guys. I think they're good players, but they're rotational players. Tommy Shepard, he just hasn't drafted a blue chip guy yet, and it's hard to do it at pick 9. It's hard to do it at pick 15. So we are in that purgatory treadmill spot. But yeah, and some guys would fit. I don't know if Denny was just the best fit for playing next to Russell Westbrook, who's a ball dominant guard, and Bradley Beal, who's a dominant guard. When you can't get the best out of Denny, trying to use him as a 3-and-D guy, Denny has to be a playmaker. He has to be, like you saw when we saw him in FIBA. That's where you get the best out of Denny, where he is a point forward or a secondary ball handler. That's the best you're going to get out of him. And they drafted him into a situation, whether they kept John Wall or not, there was going to be 2 ball dominant guards, and Denny was going to be at best going to have to be a 3-and-D guy. Rui, I think, was a good. I think they're all good draft picks. They're just not great. He just hasn't hit any home runs. He's hit I don't watch baseball much, but he's hit like singles and doubles. That's what he's really done. And it is, and you got to look at that none of these guys are starting, that you're bringing in other guys now, a Will Barton to start, and Kuzma now is going to start over Rui. He basically took that spot and ran with it. Will Barton most likely is going to start at 3, in my opinion, both of our opinions, just looking through Wes's eyes. So it is, when are they going to hit a home run? Because they really have to rely on draft picks, because no free agent is going to be banging on the door to get here, and nobody really is going to request a trade to the Wizards unless the Wizards can get some assets and trade for a guy like guys that are in the likes of Donovan Mitchell, or like you brought up last episode, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a testament. We have not found that diamond. We found good role-playing guys, but nobody who – I mean, which one of these 4 guys can you really say, all right, go out there for a season? And Denny's the closest thing. Denny, I think, could grow into a starter just because his defense is elite. But, really defensively at his position, you got to have some defensive dog in you. Mm-hmm. He's got the athleticism and the scoring to be a good scoring forward, but you got to defend. Taj, look, talking about Taj Gibson, he made his money off not being that highlight guy on the team. No team he was on was he like that top guy, but he was that guy that you knew was going to lock down the paint. You're going to get effort. You're going to get a dog. You're going to get a guy he was going to, go for his loose balls. He was going to dig into people. That's the dog that you want, and that's what I expect out of these young guys is that, Kispert, like you said, Kispert did well in his rookie year. Nothing to take away from him, but, he's still got a ways to go. Defensively, he has to get better. He had his times with defense too. So, this team has to get better with development players. They got to get better. And, I think they draft too much on system too. I think they need to get deep into these players they're drafting as far as basketball IQ is not important. It doesn't hold the importance like it should. You got to have guys that are easily teachable, because you're going to go from system, hopefully Wes is here for a long time, but if you look at, John Wall era, how many coaches did they go through? And every system was different. You got to get guys to be able to flow from one system, teachable guys. Don't always, draft to the current system. You see it a lot with football, drafting guys for the current system. You got to have guys that are teachable guys. So, yeah, they need to up the game when it comes to drafting and developing. That is a big need for this team, and it has been so for such for a long time.
Right, and definitely explosiveness too. I think they leave on a lot on the floor with explosiveness there. They just don't have that elite athleticism. Like you saw a guy with Jaden Ivey for the Pistons. They just don't have that elite athleticism there, explosiveness. You had it with John Wall. That's what you had there. But last quote, and then we'll probably, continue this on another episode. We'll wrap it up with this last one here. This one, I heard this one too. Matt Moderno put this on Twitter. He said, when asked if this is a playoff team, Tommy Shepard said they are focused on continuing to improve and pointed to how important players' work this summer would be. He says on the players to prove they are worth the money the team gave them, end quote. What was your thoughts on that one?
Nice. Yeah, he's holding them responsible. Look, you want the money, you got to earn it. You got to earn it. You got to go out there and earn your position. I mean, really, there's two players right now that are cemented into their position, in my opinion. Do I think that Kuz and Rui should fight? Absolutely. I think that Kuz still needs to earn that job. Obviously, Brad Bill with that money, I mean, you gonna put him on the bench? Nah. So, Brad's got a job. KP's the center. He has more to offer offensively than Gafford does. I mean, I am intrigued to see those two play together in certain lineups. But, yeah, I think that you need to have the mentality that where people need to fight for their jobs. You need to earn your job. And, last season, that was another issue. Veteran guys, they felt like they made it. They earned that job. And then, Montrezl Harrell, he felt, being a veteran that, he was entitled to a certain amount of minutes. And not against Trez, but, Trez has shown the history of, if he doesn't get the minutes he wants, he's going to cause a ruckus in the locker room. KCP in the fight, they had, So I think that people need to have the mentality to where, coming in this thing, I need to earn a job. I need to earn the position. And so I've heard all the good things from Wes and Tommy as far as their mentality, as far as letting these guys earn their positions, not just handing them the starting position. Let them earn it.
Definitely, for sure. Now, it is a little concerning to me that, when he was asked if this is a playoff team, he didn't say yes in his answer. That's a little concerning to me. But I think he knows where they are right now. But I think as a GM, I feel like you should just say yes. But, you want to be professional at the same time, I guess, on that one. But, yeah, like you said, Kuz has got to earn it still. Rui's got to earn it. Brad's got to earn it. They just rewarded him. This team has rewarded guys early. They rewarded Gafford, early with the $40 million extension. They rewarded Bertans early too with his well, not early, but he was a free agent. They do like to reward their own within. Tommy Shepard got the extension. So guys got paid. A couple guys have been rewarded for sure, especially Bradley Beal. They got to step up and earn their money, and they got to earn their next contract too. So it's a lot of guys that got to play together and work together for sure on this team. And chemistry is going to be huge. But yeah, making the playoffs should be the goal for the Wizards, and it's going to be a dogfight to do it. He said guys improve this summer for sure. It's on the players to prove that they're worth their money. But we just want to thank you guys for listening and making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Now, for your second listen, go and make the NBA Top 50 on Locked On NBA your second listen. Which NBA player moves the betting line the most this season? Locked On and the Bet Online odds makers present the NBA Top 50 most valuable players. Find it on Locked On NBA wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe and hit the notification bell on YouTube and subscribe wherever you get a podcast of Locked On Wizards. Hell to the Wizards. Next episode, we're going to talk about where Kristaps Porzingis and Bradley Beal were ranked in the top 100. And there's some more quotes that we want to get to too. Hell to the Wizards. Peace.